Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. My name is Munal Jundi, and I'll be the MC for the evening. Welcome everybody to CAIR's 14th annual, CAIR Michigan's 14th annual dinner. I think that you guys got lucky that I'm the MC because, you know, for those of you who know me, I have the gift of gab. And lucky for you, there's a long program, so I'm going to have to speed things up to get started, so you won't have to be listening to me too much. First of all, I wanted to recognize some special guests that we have here. So when I call your name, if you can just sort of stand and wave to the crowd, that would be greatly appreciated. We have Professor Ann Rawl from Eastern Michigan University. We have Elisa Perkins from Western Michigan University, professor. I don't see where she is. We have Brian Whiston, the superintendent of Dearborn Public Schools. We have Linda Sarsour, the National Advocacy Director for the National Network of Arab American Communities. We have Nadia Tanova, the Director of the National Network of Arab American Communities. She's walking in. And we have Hanan Hashim from U of M Dearborn, MSA President. So first, I just wanted to begin by introducing the CAIR President, and I should call him the new daddy, the new Baba, Haris Ahmed. I went to university with Haris, so you know I can go through a long bio about him. He's an attorney, he's an entrepreneur, he's a social activist, he's involved in many things here in the state of Michigan. We were in university together. He's friends with my husband Jawad, and Jawad says this, you know, every month he'll say, you know, oh, I'm going to be late, you know, tonight because I've got this, you know, Islamic study circle I'm going to. And I know he's just going to hang out with Haris. And they get together and they discuss all of these issues. They discuss, you know, economics, Flint, Detroit, you know, revitalization issues. They discuss, you know, organizing Muslim communities. So I can't say enough about Haris. He's a friend. I've known him, and he's somebody that I trust, and I think he does a stellar job. Without further ado, please, Haris Ahmed.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. May the peace and blessings of God be upon all of you. It's great to see you here again for our annual celebration or our look back on the year and the state of Muslims and the state of our civil rights. So, you know, this year is especially, or is actually very special for me, of course, because what I mentioned. We had a son on March 29th, 2014. So, thank you. By the blessings of God. So this is our first son after 3 daughters. And just as a caveat, if I'd had 3 boys, I would have tried for the girl. So it's not anything special just because of the gender. But you know, but the thing that was interesting was that Amin was born exactly 12 years from the time that my firstborn was born. He was actually born on my eldest, my 12-year-old, her birthday. She was turning 12 that day, and you know, my wife went into labor, and you know, sure enough, he was born on that day. And it got me thinking because at the time of 9/11, my firstborn was actually in my wife's womb, and she was in the womb. And so she was part of that first generation of that post 9/11 generation. And that really hit me hard. Obviously, 9/11 hit us very hard in many ways, but I had to think about the fact that my first child, was going to come into a very different world than that which I grew up in, a very different world. And it really got me thinking. And in fact, that is how I got involved with CAIR, CAIR Michigan. I was approached, at that time I had just gotten out of law school, and I was, you know, I had some options that I was considering, and of course, you know, this happened, and I was approached. And so I had to think about what type of world is this child going to come into? And am I just going to sit back and just accept whatever comes? Now, of course, everything's up to God, but He expects us to act. And I decided, look, this is the way that I'm going to get involved and try to change things and make sure and ensure that my children live in a world where they actually have the ability to practice their faith and to be positive citizens in this great community and nation of ours. But 12 years later, we look at the world that Amin is coming into. And there are definitely challenges. I look back at it, and I look now, and I see that there are challenges. There's many challenges, whether they be legal or physical attacks on our houses of worship or our community members, whether they be slander by some Islamophobes or media outlets, or other forms of challenges. We have many challenges. There's no doubt about that. And that's what CAIR Michigan is doing. CAIR Michigan is always working, along with many other great institutions. I'm not one, and we're not one to say that we're the only institution that does everything and anything. There's some other great institutions. But CAIR Michigan is definitely at the forefront. I've seen this. And actually doing a lot of this stuff behind the scenes, working against some of the attacks that are out there. But Amin also comes into a world where we have a Muslim female state legislator in Rashida Tlaib. Yes, you should applaud. He comes into a world where we have a Muslim female judge here in Michigan, Charlene Elder. He comes into a world where we have two Muslim congressmen, in Keith Ellison and Andre Carson. And he comes into a world where we have Muslim filmmakers who are having feature films in mainstream theaters, such as Ajmal Zahir Ahmed with the Jinn movie and Sam Qadi with The Citizen. And he also comes into a world where we have got many, many other talents that have shown their talent and been recognized for that, whether they be authors, whether they be playwrights, lawyers, doctors, whatnot. We even have a Muslim Miss Marvel now coming out. I mean, we have a comic book hero, or heroine in this case, which is even more remarkable, and she's Muslim. Miss Marvel is now Muslim. And most recently, we have an inductee into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, Yusuf Islam, known as Cat Stevens. Yes. So this is definitely the optimistic side of things. But this is the side that we really should cling to. Because that's, at CAIR Michigan, there's a lot of discussion, there's a lot of fear out there, there's a lot of negative out there, but if you look at these things, these are great accomplishments, these are great signs of progress within our society, within our country, and within our nation. And that's the side that we should cling to. It's not that we should ignore the challenges, we have to deal with the challenges, and that's what CAIR is here for, but we're also here, and primarily we're here to facilitate that positive environment, and to build upon that positive environment, to create an atmosphere, by the grace of God, that allows us to tell our stories, that allows our communities to flourish. And by communities, I mean not just the Muslim community, I mean the other communities that we interface with. And that's what CAIR is here for. Now, Amin also is born into the 50th anniversary year of the Civil Rights Act. And that is a very significant milestone. The Civil Rights Act of 1964. Now this act, and we thank our African American brothers and sisters for this, Muslim and non-Muslim, as well as our Jewish and Christian and others who were involved in passing this act. It took a lot. It wasn't just the legislators who passed it. It wasn't just Lyndon B. Johnson. It was the work of all of the civil rights activists and those who supported them that came before that. A lot of blood, sweat, and tears. So we should always be mindful of that. And perhaps now, reflecting on it at this time that we're in, the Muslim community and the immigrant community may have been or may be the biggest recipients of the benefits of that law at the moment. But that's as it should be. This American experiment, or this American nation or project, it was contemplated when it was formed by the founders. It was contemplated that Muslims explicitly would be part of this venture. Thomas Jefferson, it's not as if he did not know what a Muslim was. He explicitly, one of his mentors was John Locke, not mentors, one of his, the luminaries that he studied. They were not in the same time. was a 17th century philosopher, John Locke, had already talked about this, the inclusion of Muslims as citizens and having the rights and the rights extended to them, the rights and liberties of the state. Thomas Jefferson embraced that. And that was embodied in the Bill of Rights. So Muslims have been part of that Bill of Rights as well as other faiths from the very beginning. And so this is just an extension of that. And CAIR Michigan are in a way carrying on that Jeffersonian and that principle of the Founding Fathers. Now, the Founding Fathers were not perfect by any means. Just ask our African American brothers and sisters. But that principle in and of itself, CAIR is carrying that mantle. So that is why, whether we are Muslim or not, whether you're part of this community or not, we should support CAIR and CAIR Michigan. Because we are standing up for that principle. We have faith in freedom. And that's what CAIR Michigan is here to do. Thank you very much.
MashaAllah. So I want to recognize some more guests that we have with us, and then I'll introduce the next presenter. We have Anil Kumar, who's running for the 11th District. He was here, he stepped out. We have Bobby McKenzie, if you can just stand and wave, who's also running for the 11th District. We have Tony Trupiano, a radio host and candidate for the 13th District of Michigan State House. Can you stand and wave? I don't see him. We have Ron Scott from the Detroit Coalition Against Police Brutality. We have Usama Siblani from the Arab American News. We have Wali Jaydan from the Middle Eastern Broadcast and Radio. We have Darren Nichols from the Detroit News. Nabiha Ayad, from the president of Arab American Civil Rights League. Dr. Nasib Fawaz, the founder of the Arab American Chamber of Commerce. And we also have Hajja Najah Bazzi, the president of Zaman International. So the next individual I'm going to ask, the next CAIR Michigan staff, is Warda Kaleem. She is the coordinator for Safe Spaces for CAIR Michigan. The mission of Safe Spaces is to produce and adopt policies that positively affect the American Muslim community through education, dialogue, and cooperation. She's from Australia. She's educated in US and Australian law. Please welcome Warda Kaleem.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters, honored guests. Safe Spaces is a relatively new and important endeavor in CAIR Michigan's ultimate goal. So what Safe Spaces philosophy is it's essentially approaching institutions in a friendly, cooperative manner, and we agree on mutually acceptable and agreeable policies. We engage in education and dialogue and discuss the benefits of implementing religious-friendly policies. We also provide resources to the institutions we work with to help them implement these policies. This proactive approach has several benefits. Firstly, we're able to engage in a positive discussion and address any issues or concerns the institutions have while voicing our concerns. We also help them implement these policies by providing them the requisite tools they might need. And then we stay with them throughout the whole process. We speak with them after, we engage with them after, and this approach has lasting results. So some of the institutions we've worked with in the last 12 months include schools, universities, correctional facilities, police departments, businesses, and libraries. And we've essentially created safe spaces in these institutions that we work, learn, and live in. So for example, with schools, which has been a huge part of our work, we've been working with multiple school districts to implement policies that positively affect our children. These policies include a quiet reflection space for our students to pray individually, a halal and vegetarian diet in the school cafeteria, Ramadan accommodation, and also religious holidays such as Eid without academic penalty. We proactively worked with Melvindale and Northern Allen Park School District to help implement these policies. And all of these policies, alhamdulillah, have been implemented. So we thank you, Melvindale. We hope to continue this relationship. As you know, we also have Superintendent Brian Whiston here from Dearborn Public School. Thank you for joining us and supporting us as always. We also successfully worked with Crestwood School District in Dearborn Heights with parents and students to help implement a halal food option in their school cafeteria. Although the community petitioned to implement halal food, the community was met with a lot of resistance over the years, despite a majority student population. CAIR Michigan worked with the school and concerned parents to help implement this long-awaited halal food option in all 5 school districts within the school, and we're happy to see our children have this halal food option every day throughout the school year, alhamdulillah. It's these types of policies that positively impact our children and students, and they're a stepping stone in the right direction for future generations, inshallah. This year, we've also expanded our scope to universities. We worked with Oakland University, with the dean and students there to help revive a reflection room that was no longer used. Today, the new reflection room is totally reimagined. It's actively used by staff and students, and after the reflection room was implemented, the dean invited myself and our executive director, Dawood, to come and speak with professors, deans, and administrators on diversity issues and issues relating to Muslims as well as accommodation. And it's this kind of ongoing relationship that is very unique to safe spaces. It's the positive ongoing relationship that we continue. With police departments, for example, in our ongoing effort with law enforcement, we have facilitated the implementation of halal food at Dearborn Heights Police Department, and we will continue to engage other statewide police departments in further encouraging the cooperation of law enforcement with our Muslim constituents. On a very local community level, we've also worked with a number of libraries throughout Michigan as part of the Muslim Journeys program and other various programs that they hold. For example, we were part of the kickoff event, various panel discussions and other programs, and it's these types of programs that are key to educating our community. And as you know, most businesses know that it's really good policy to have religious-friendly policies in place, so they're happy to work with us in a non-adversarial manner. So for example, we were recently contacted by Home Depot here in Southeast Michigan to provide sensitivity training. We discussed cultural awareness, customer interactions, modesty in Islam, and highlighted religious accommodation issues for their employees. Home Depot contacted us. This was done by their own willingness to better serve their customers and employees. So the extent of our policies don't just come from within, they also come from outside avenues. And last year, if you recall, I talked about Calhoun County Correctional Facility and how they implemented a range of Muslim-friendly policies such as halal food, Ramadan accommodation, a gender-sensitive environment, copies of the Quran. We've continued that ongoing relationship. Captain Lee Zick and the Correctional Facility have continued to consult us on a range of issues. We have Captain Lee Zick here with us again today. Thank you for joining us. We've also worked with other correctional facilities throughout the state to provide halal food, Ramadan accommodation, and copies of the Quran. So lastly, I'd just like to emphasize, as a community, CAIR Michigan really is our most important grassroots organisation. As Harris said, we do have a number of them, but CAIR is definitely up there. But despite our proactive approach in instituting these policies, we need your help. We need your voices to further our efforts. If you have concerns or particular institutions or workplaces that you think could benefit from safe spaces, please do not hesitate to contact us. Let us know. We're here for you. Inshallah, with your help and support, we'll continue to grow. Thank you, President Harris, Dawood, Lena, Narjis, our board interns, all of you here today. This is very much a team effort. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum and jazakallah khair.
Those of us that have been CAIR Michigan supporters for years, I think sort of remember the, I would say, reactionary mode, the post-September 11th era that Hadis talked about, where, there's a violation and there was an organization, CAIR Michigan, that was here to respond to that. But I think the great advantage of a program like the Safe Spaces is that it's long-term. It's talking about preventing those violations by increasing awareness and increasing comfort, people's interaction with the Muslim community. So, I just wanted to say that, Warda, you're doing a great job, and CAIR Michigan is doing a great job in that. Alhamdulillah. Next, I wanted to introduce Laila Amin, who's going to be giving the Rosa Parks Scholarship. Laila Amin is Vice President of CAIR Michigan. She's served as the on the CAIR Michigan board for 10 years. She's employed at the District Community Liaison for Bilingual and Compensatory Education and Special Needs with Dearborn Public Schools. I'm looking around and I don't see where Laila is. Oh, there you are. Without further ado.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. I was just sort of waiting to see how much more she was going to say about me, and I got all happy about that. This is going to be very short and sweet. First of all, CAIR Michigan is very proud to take advantage of assisting students who wish to further their education. We're always happy to do whatever it is that we are able to. This year we have 2 recipients for the Rosa Parks Scholarship, and I'm hoping that they're here. Our first recipient is from Sterling Heights Henry Ford II High School. She's going on to Northwestern University, and this is for Miss Gwendolyn Gissendanner. I hope I said that correct. Is she here? Gwendolyn? I will hang on to that. We will have that sent to her. And our second recipient, and he was on the road just a short time ago, is for a young man who is from Crestwood High School going on to University of Michigan, and we also would like to honor him with a scholarship, Muhammad Turfi. Yes. Yay. We wish for all of our scholarship recipients to further their education on a regular basis. CAIR has been able to do this for our high school seniors at the very least, and we're proud to do so. Thank you.
Next, I'm going to introduce Lina Masri, who's also a personal friend and I've known for many years, and we sort of worked together a little bit more closely in the past couple of years when the CAIR Michigan office began assisting Syrians here in the U.S. in their asylum applications. She was very active in that. She's the staff attorney for CAIR Michigan, and she focuses her practice mainly in the area of civil rights litigation. Prior to joining CAIR, she worked in different areas: national security, international law, genocide. She's also, along with CAIR Michigan, she volunteers for the Family Law Assistance Project, the Legal Aid Defender Association, representing victims of domestic violence. So without further ado, please welcome Lina Masri.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm both humbled and honored to welcome you to our 14th annual banquet. Over the last 5 years, as staff attorney for CAIR Michigan, I've sought to utilize litigation as a tool to not only defend our civil rights and civil liberties, but to proactively challenge discriminatory policies and to implement laws that positively impact the Muslim community and the community at large. Moreover, we've sought to utilize litigation to confront the threat of heavily funded right-wing organizations whose sole purpose is to, quote, confront the threat of Islam and to render Muslims second-class citizens. Last year, I shared with you a story that really is a testament to the significance of our work and the impact of our organization. a renowned Islamophobe was scheduled to speak at an event at a public school. Our executive director, Dawood Walid, reached out to the public school and requested that they drop the speaker from the event. Instead, the entire event was canceled. A number of Islamophobe organizations joined forces and filed a lawsuit against our organization, including Republican National Committeeman Dave Egema, who is the architect of anti-Sharia legislation, and Act for America President Pamela Geller. In a statement to a radio talk show, one of the attorneys from the Thomas More Law Center said that the reason they filed this lawsuit against our organization is because, and I quote, CAIR is a very powerful organization. Last year, I made a promise to you that we would fight back and defend our rights to free speech and to petition our government. Today, I'm proud to announce that we did just that. A federal judge dismissed the lawsuit at the earliest possible stage. Over the last 3 years, we've enjoyed significant success in a series of landmark lawsuits, challenging laws on issues ranging from religious profiling while traveling to religious accommodation in prisons to denying Muslims the right to build Islamic institutions. We filed a lawsuit that challenges religious discriminatory policies and practices at the borders. Post 9/11, Muslims have been religiously profiled and subjected to hours of detention for the sole purpose of being asked questions about their religious beliefs and practices. Questions ranging from how many times a day they pray, to which mosque they pray at, to which sect of Islam they adhere to. Today, I'm proud to announce that in a landmark decision, a federal judge has, for the first time in history, allowed a lawsuit challenging discriminatory policies against the FBI and Border Protection authorities to move forward. During the hearing, before issuing his decision, Judge Avern Cohn said that the targeting of Muslim Americans at border crossings is analogous to the New York Police Department's targeting of African Americans with its stop and frisk program. I'm also proud to announce that a federal judge has allowed a lawsuit to move forward that we filed on behalf of the Michigan Islamic Academy for the wrongful denial of their right to build an Islamic school on their property in Pittsfield Township. Recently, we uncovered a link between one of the commissioners that voted to deny the Islamic school and David Yerushalmi, who most of you know is an Islamophobe that seeks to demonize Islam and Muslims and to deny Muslim Americans their constitutionally protected right to freedom of religion. We successfully challenged the religious dietary screening process at a jail after a Muslim inmate was wrongfully denied his right to a halal diet. As part of a settlement agreement with the jail, we modified the policy such that the constitutional rights of inmates of all faith backgrounds are protected. We recently settled a lawsuit filed on behalf of a Muslim waitress who was fired from her employment after she converted to Islam and chose to wear the hijab. She was told that she looked evil in her hijab and that she was required to remove it to keep her job. We are lobbying and challenging laws and policies that negatively impact the American Muslim community on a national level. This year, we joined CAIR representatives from across the country and lobbied over 130 congressional offices on issues ranging from hate crimes reporting, the NSA surveillance program, and policies that allow for the shockingly disproportionate number of Muslims that are being added onto the federal watch lists every year without due process. Finally, we're providing legal representation to Syrian refugees that are fleeing the horrors in Syria and seeking protection in the United States. Since the inception of the Syrian Asylum Project less than 2 years ago, we've filed for asylum and temporary protected status on behalf of over 70 Syrian refugees. With a 100% success rate, we've provided for them stability and security and allowed them the chance to start over. The community has consistently been able to count on CAIR Michigan to step up to the challenge of protecting our civil rights and civil liberties. However, our work is not possible without your continued support. Thank you so much for coming out here tonight. Jazakumullah khair. Wassalamu alaikum.
Before I introduce Dawood Walid, I want to recognize some more honored guests that we have today with us. We have Captain Lee Zick and Lieutenant Thomas from Calhoun County Jail. If you could just stand, thank you. We have Judge Mark Summers from the city of Dearborn. We have the Mayor of Westland, Bill Wild. The Mayor of Hamtramck, Karen Majowski. We have State Senator Vincent Gregory, who's also running for the 14th District, Congressional District. We have State Representative Rashida Tlaib. Rashida, where are you? We have State Representative Diane Slavins, also candidate for State Senator. We, of course, have my Congressman, Congressman Dan Kildee from the 5th District. And Congressman Dingle and his wife, Debbie, who come every year, were unable to come because of a death in the family. So the congressman just wanted to say congratulations and wanted it to be noted that they would have been here if not for the death in the family. So next I'm going to introduce Dawood Walid. And I know he doesn't need much of an introduction because everybody knows him as CAIR Michigan as executive director. But if you follow him on Twitter, you also know that one of the things, that Dawood's passionate about is not just the Muslim community vis-a-vis the general American community, but even about changing issues from within the Muslim community. And one of the issues that he's passionate about and I think is fantastic is racism within the Muslim community. So, he's been active on that issue definitely recently. He's a preacher of Islamic faith. He's been an assistant imam before. He's also a political blogger for the Detroit News. He served in the U.S. Navy. He's all over the news on Fox, NBC, CNN, and I usually like watching him on Fox because, obviously it's not the most friendly environment, but Dawood knows how to hold his own. Without further ado, Dawood Walid.
Peace be upon you. Assalamu alaikum. Before I give some brief words, I would like to award someone here, someone that's with us here this afternoon who is a fighter for justice, and I also consider a friend. This year's 2014 Justice Partner Award goes to our brother, Pastor Charles Williams II, who is the pastor of the King Solomon Missionary Baptist Church in the west side of Detroit. And at the same church that almost 51 years ago, Malcolm X spoke at that pulpit and gave his seminal speech, Message to the Grassroots. The same pulpit where Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stood and preached, where Thurgood Marshall preached and spoke, and many other luminaries that stood up for the civil rights that we enjoy today. He's also the Detroit representative of the National Action Network that is led nationally by the Reverend Al Sharpton. Before I call Pastor Williams up to recognize him up here on the stage and allow him a couple of minutes to make comments, Pastor Williams stood with us, stood with the community on many different issues, from the tragedy of Imam Luqman being killed by the FBI, to the anti-Sharia fear-mongers in the state, to also when Pastor Terry Jones came in town trying to stir up enmity between the Muslim and Christian communities. We're going to show a very brief clip that features Pastor Williams that was in an HBO documentary that premiered about 3 months ago, which CAIR Michigan was featured in, called The Education of Muhammad Hussein, that was shown throughout the United States and Canada, in which tens of thousands of viewers watched this documentary in terms of how our community came together when haters tried to split our community. If you can roll the video, please. That's not the right part of the video. You have to go back.
Now, brothers, this Islamophobia that is going on, it is not just a problem for Muslims. This is something that we all need to be sharing the same front. It is hurting this country. It was hurting the presidential election when they were talking about Obama, whether he's Muslim or non-Muslim, like whether he's a criminal or not, the way they were saying it. We learned from Terry Jones that generalization is absolutely wrong. We as religious leaders, whether Muslims, Christians, or Jews, let us work together against this ignorance.
My brothers and my sisters, if there's anything that we have to be thankful for to Mr. Jones, is thank you for bringing us together. Thank you for bringing us together. Why? Because we are here to serve. We need to work together for peace in Detroit, peace in the hood, peace in Afghanistan, peace in Pakistan, peace in Libya. We need to work together. And if we walk and we love and we fight together, I have a strange feeling that we won't be in heaven all by ourselves. God bless you.
I'd like to call to the stage now our brother, Pastor Charles Williams II. We'll present the award to you a little later on. The actual award is on its way, the person who got caught up in traffic. But
Thank you very much. First of all, thank you again, Imam Dalut Walid, for all of the great work that CAIR is doing and that you're doing. Please give him a hand. I hate watching those videos because, you know, I lost a little weight. I look a little better now. But, you know, we've got a long road to work ahead of us. I also don't want to forget to thank my fiance who's here with me tonight, Sister Angela Elam. I had to remember I'm not by myself anymore. Whether it's an injustice and an attack on our faith, beliefs, cultural background, we've got to continue to fight against those things. Whether it's an injustice of what happened to Mr. Utash, where he was brutally beaten by men who seem to have no hope, we've got to fight against those injustices. We've got to fight against the injustice of what caused the environment for those young men who were driven to the point where they beat Mr. Utash. We must continue to fight against the injustices where there are instances like Trayvon Martin or Renisha McBride or Kendrick Johnson. We must continue to fight against the injustice of Islamophobia. We must hide in our hearts the words of Dr. Martin Luther King, a threat to justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Wherever there is injustice, CAIR Michigan, I will continue to stand with you. Assalamu alaikum.
Before I continue, I'd also like to recognize our religious leaders, our imams, in particular, two of my teachers who are here this afternoon, Imam Salim Mukmin, who is the resident imam of Masjid Wali Muhammad, and as well as my Sheikh, Sheikh Ali Suleiman Ali, who is the religious leader at the Muslim community of Western Suburbs, Canton. And as well as the other mashayikh who are here, Sheikh Ali Layla at IAGD, Sheikh Ishaq Samura from Masjid Salam, Imam Abdullah Alamin from the Muslim Center, Imam Mamadou Sise from the Muslim Center, Imam Indao, all of the mashayikh, Sheikh Muhammad Musa, Sheikh Tahir Rashid from Masjid Burhani, Dr. Qazim Akbullah from the Muslim Community Center of Detroit, all of our imams and ulama who we sit and talk to on a regular basis and get advice in terms of how we as an organization can not just deal with the social political issues, but how we can stay spiritually grounded in our Islamic ethics. That's very important. Also, salam to Mufti Hafiz Rabbani, who I also see from IAGD sitting over there as well. Okay. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا محمد وعلى آله الطاهرين وصحبه المخلصين والتابعين لهم بخير وإحسان إلى يوم الدين وأما بعد. You all have heard the updates from our president, Haris Ahmed, the accomplishments that our sister Wada Kaleem has discussed regarding proactive steps in the Safe Spaces initiative, as well as our staff attorney, Lena Musteri, and the incredible work that she has been doing. And I'm not even sure if there's another attorney in the state of Michigan who in the past years had a 100% success rate regarding TPS and asylum cases. We need to recognize that. This is a big accomplishment. My duty here in the next few minutes is to shed a little light on some things that you may not know about CAIR Michigan and the work that we do behind the scenes and work that is not seen in our media appearances like on Fox News, in which Sister Muna was talking about. Within the past year, CAIR Michigan staffers have spoken to literally hundreds of university and college students throughout the state of Michigan. We've spoken to them in forums and as well as in classrooms, and for the purpose of clarifying misconceptions that are held about Muslims and Islam, but also to these young minds to connect the dots with them between the diseases of Islamophobia with structural racism. And within the past couple of weeks, actually, CAIR Michigan has spoken to a few classes, and particularly at Eastern Michigan University just recently, in terms of connecting the dots and giving the correct information about our Muslim community and how Islamophobia affects us, but more importantly, what can students do who are not Muslims with this knowledge to get involved in the social justice movement. It's not just talking about things in theory, but also giving some practical steps. And I'm actually happy to recognize Professor Raul, who's with us right now from Eastern Michigan University. I just spoke at her class this past Monday. And the feedback she told me, she said it was all positive feedback. We know that the shaping of minds and attitudes are done at universities because the future socio-political leaders and thought shapers are in Ms. Rawls' class and at Western Michigan University, Michigan State, University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, and the other institutions of higher learning that we've spoken out throughout the state in the past year. But this education is not constricted that we do just to the broader community. We also know at CAIR Michigan the importance of training our community and building capacity inside of our community. That our community can, as individuals, when they see Islamophobia, that they are equipped to go and speak in political and interfaith forums regarding the issues that matter to us as a community in a more refined and enlightened manner. Within this spirit, CAIR Michigan has had a long-stretching program. We are actually the only CAIR chapter in America that has this program called Presenting Islam to Fellow Americans, in which we have literally trained dozens of community activists, from board members to college students, in terms of how to more effectively communicate our issues to the broader public, both politicians as well as faith leaders. And I would also like to recognize some of our partners that have actually helped us. CAIR Michigan board members and staffers, we've used our expertise in these trainings, but we've also brought in people who are not part of the staff of CAIR that have helped us in these trainings. I'd like to recognize our friend Steve Spreitzer with the Michigan Roundtable for Diversity and Inclusion, who's been a presenter at our PIFTAs, as well as our sister, my friend, and my mentor, Haji Najab Bezi, who's also here with us. Earlier this year, we also had a very high-impact program called the Muslim Youth Leadership Symposium, in which we had our young adults in universities all throughout the area that came for an intensive one-day training, learning about the importance of coalition building and also how critical race theory affects how we as Muslims interact with the broader community or the broader society that are in the status quo that are not Muslim and not people of color. This was a highly successful program, and I believe that this Muslim Youth Leadership Symposium we had and the content, in fact, instilled some thoughts, instilled a different shift in the paradigm of many of our young people who are actually starting to be in leadership positions right now. We have one of the presenters who's from out of town who actually helped us with this is here today. She was named CAIR National's Muslim of the Year for her advocacy, and she's also a person who works with the national, with NAC, with the National Network for Arab American Communities. I'd like to recognize Ms. Linda Sarsour, who's with us in the audience today. This training that we've done is not just something that is theoretical, the impact it's had on the ground. We can see real fruit from these trainings, and I will give you a story and then conclude. Just recently, through our monitoring of the media, we ran across a press release in which an anti-Muslim organization called the Clarion Project, that we list in our National Legislating Fear Report, had somehow convinced the University of Michigan Dearborn to let them have a screening and a discussion on a movie called Honor Diaries. Honor Diaries, on the surface, is talking about a legitimate issue, the issue that there is misogyny within the Muslim community worldwide. But how the Clarion Project framed it, they framed it in such a way that misogyny is Muslim exclusive, and that in this they were putting out Islamophobic frames. And Ayaan Hirsi Ali is one of the producers of this movie, and I'm not sure if any of you know about her and the book that she wrote called Infidel. So when we found out about this through monitoring our media, we contacted the University of Michigan Dearborn. From contacting them, I also contacted another friend and colleague who works in the university who told me, in fact, that this Islamophobic group tried having a screening of this film at the University of Michigan Ann Arbor, and they declined. But the University of Michigan Dearborn, for some reason, was going to allow the screening. From then going through our colleague there, we then began to have conversation with Muslim and Arab student groups on campus. We wrote the university, contacted the university. The students, some of them who were at our Muslim Youth Leadership Symposium, began to organize. And after we raised our concerns in a couple of days, that screening of that Islamophobic movie was quote unquote postponed. It was postponed. And I'm going to have a meeting this Tuesday, God willing, with the Vice Chancellor of the University of Michigan Dearborn to talk about proactive ways of how we can have a discussion about female genital mutilation or spousal abuse without it smearing the Muslim community. I'd like to recognize one of the leaders of that effort, Sister Hanan Hashim, who's with us here today, who is the president of the University of Michigan Dearborn, who helped in the organizing of stopping the postponement, that got the postponement of that film. In conclusion, we do have challenges ahead of us as a Muslim community. We've made progress, but we have challenges. Less than 2 weeks ago, the Oakland County GOP hosted an anti-Muslim speaker with the Thomas More Law Center speaking to an official party platform still trying to push the so-called anti-Sharia law in the state of Michigan. We are in a state that has as its GOP National Committeeman Dave Ejima, who's one of the biggest Islamophobes in America in the political scene, who's based right here in the state of Michigan, who has the ears and is talking with other people in the GOP across the country, feeding them information about the Muslim community, and including Dearborn, Michigan, who he believes is infested with sleeper cells, falsely believes is infested with sleeper cells. So we have some challenges. But I truly believe that as long as we have people like Pastor Charles Williams II and our friend Steve Spreitzer at the Michigan Roundtable for Diversity and Inclusion, and our other civil rights partners like the NAACP and the ACLU, interfaith friends, working together, our love for humanity and our respect for the Constitution can prevail over those haters and those bigots. I believe with more education within inside of our community, more civic engagement, that through our increased sophistication, our examples in and of itself will be a positive way of decreasing Islamophobia, and I know we can do it. I know that if we morally and financially support our institutions such as CAIR Michigan, that we can have more impact in the courtrooms, more impact with the media, more trainings in universities and in corporations and with police forces that will cut down on Islamophobia. And lastly, and most importantly, I know that with all of your sincere prayers for the job that CAIR Michigan has to do, the heavy lifting that we have to do, that our prayers with God, when they're sincere, they are mustajaba, they are answered. And we know that God says in the Quran, "In yasukumullah fala ghaliba lakum." The Quran says, and if God helps you, who can defeat you? And we know the answer to that, none can defeat you. So please, brothers and sisters in Islam, I'm asking for your support for our organization this afternoon, your prayers, your monetary support, and with all of us working together, I know that we can not just forge a better future for the American Muslim community, but a better social climate for all of the citizens and residents of these United States of America. Wassalamu alaikum rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
I'd also like to recognize a few other guests that joined us. Fatina Abdrabbo, the Executive Director of Michigan ADC. Fatina, if you can stand and wave, there you are. Also Judge David Turfy. And Hussein Barri, the Dearborn PS Board President. So next, I'm going to ask Dr. Farhan Abdulaziz to come join us here up on the stage. He's a medical resident right now. He's graduated from the Bayina Dream Program. He teaches the sweetness of Salah, developing khushu' in your prayers, and he's here to try to rally some support for CAIR Michigan. So please welcome Dr. Abdulaziz.
We'd like to thank Brother Mahdi for his very informative and passionate speech. We're about to close out the program and have dinner. Can we get on the screen very briefly, if we can, the total amount that's been raised thus far? Because I know there was some envelopes that were passed around outside of the pledges, if that's possible. Also, how many of you are on social media? Raise your hand, like on Twitter or Facebook. MashaAllah, even the crowd over 40, which I'm a part of now, by the way. Okay, what I'd like for all of you to do is to go to your Twitter and or your Facebook right now, and I'd like for you to encourage your followers to donate today to CAIR Michigan, and they can give a secure donation on our website at CAIR, Michigan spelled out, cairmichigan.org. How many of you are going to do that? It's easy. So hold up a second now. I saw about a fifth of the hands that I just asked. I said, how many of you people have social media? You raise your hand, then about a fifth of the hands. How many of you can put on social media, on your Twitter and your Facebook page, I was at CAIR Michigan's fundraiser, annual fundraiser, please donate to this noble organization. How many of you promise that you're going to do that today? Okay, jazakumullahu khairan. Very good. We don't have the amount. Inshallah, maybe we can put up the amount during the dinner. And for those of you who have not given anything, I encourage you to give something, even if it's only $1 on your way out. We know the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, regard the fire even if it's giving a morsel of a date. Every bit counts. So with that, we will close with dua, and please enjoy your dinner, and after the dinner, we will have Salatul Asr in Jama'ah. Actually, my Islamic finder is not for Hanafi time, so. Okay, I have the amount right here from the treasurer. We raised, including pledges thus far, $112,000. So. Thank you very much for your attendance, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Hold on. And also, during the dinner, we're going to show a brief video about the ISNA convention, which will be coming here this year in August, which we believe is going to be a very impactful conference, not just for the Muslim community, but also for the city of Detroit, and bringing in revenue and helping to reshape the image of our city. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala sayyidina wa nabiyina Muhammadin وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن نفيت وتولنا فيمن تواليت وبارك لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا شر ما قضيت إنك تقضي ولا يقضى عليك إنه لا يذل من وليت ولا يعز من أديت تباركت ربنا وتعاليت ولك الحمد على ما قضيت نستغفرك يا ربنا ونتوب إليك ونؤمن بك ونتوكل عليك. اللهم ارزقنا شفاعة محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم ولا تحرمنا صحبته إنك أنت أرحم الراحمين. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب. سبحان ربك بالعزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.